rocking with the best. You're rocking with the best.
Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation, folks. Happy Thursday. Let's get right into it. Today, we're going to talk about how the Baltimore Sun newspaper, the major publication in Baltimore, has officially been bought by a conservative owner. We'll talk to you about the implications of that on the readership and the news. We'll discuss the details. Also, conservative donor attacks DEI efforts by using the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I'm going to tell you the trend that we're seeing in the conservative space in their messaging. Later on, we're going to talk about should Black people embrace anger? How a new look at the emotion of anger, especially its impact on Black men and Black women. We're asking this question because maybe we need to redefine how we are angry in America. We'll have that conversation. And I got something special for you as we're talking about should you thank yourself in public when you are awarded. Stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. There we go. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Baltimore City, my hometown, and the newspaper there. We're going to talk a little bit about how a conservative donor is attacking DEI and so much more. So get ready for the conversation as we're streaming live on our home network, at blackstarnetwork.com. Just check us out on our website at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media under Black Star Network, and throw something in the bucket for us as we kick off 2024 on a hot start with your support. And we're looking for new stakeholders, new investors, as we pave the way and blaze the trail in this digital space. So again, go to our website today at Black Star Network. Also, we have a lot of great events, a lot of conversations, like we're doing this one-on-one with Blue Gossip Jr. that Brother Roland has did, and a whole lot of other discussions, and even stream some of the things coming from the White House with Vice President Kamala Harris. So you'll find a lot of good information on blackstarnetwork.com. Make sure you check it out. Also, we're streaming live on Amazon platforms, on Amazon News, on your Amazon Fire TV. We're also on Amazon Prime Video, folks. Make sure you check us out. Find us on the Prime Video app, on the live TV, the news, or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video, then Live TV, then News. And you can definitely see us there. We're also on the Freevee Network. You can check us out on now under News. You'll find Black Star Network, and we're on Plex TV 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network on Plex TV or find us under Live TV and News and Opinion. All right, let me check this out as we are streaming live also on Brother Roland's Facebook page. Make sure you can watch the show there. Also on Brother Roland's YouTube channel, you can watch the show there. And folks are checking in from all around the country. Let me check in. Let's do a little roll call with the culture crew. There we go. I see y'all. Ming, Lee, Natasha, Serge. Welcome to the chat. Good to connect with you, Ming. Ming, why you got that face like that? Ming got that little crazy, that crazy, funny looking emoji. Ming, welcome to the chat. Pastor Damon Blissett, always in there. There we go. Robin Welch, good to connect with you. The ABX girl. Hiya, ABX girl. Thank you so much for checking in. Yeah, Robin, it is Thursday. Woo, we almost there. Cindy D, I see you. Thank you for checking in. The Stephanie Humphrey channel is checking in as always. The Stephanie Humphrey channel. Thank you so much. Stephen C. Mitchell. Yes, that's right. Stephen C. Mitchell, you're already jumping into the conversation. I love it. The Sun will become the New York Post now. Wow. Jamie P., thank you so much for checking in. Who else we got? Smooth Approach. I see you. Good afternoon to you, Smooth Approach. Always good to hear from you. Uncle Craig's Jerky. You checked in. Ravonda Lynch checking in. Tiana, my sister. Hey, Tiana. Good to connect with you. Who we got? Gerald Robinson checking in from the great city of Detroit. Deidre Hall is checking in as well. And folks, you can do the same. Again, we're streaming live on Roland Martin's YouTube page and Roland Martin's Facebook page. And big shout out to the crew on the Facebook page and the crew on the X platform. We truly, truly appreciate it. There we go. Folks, we got my brother joining us as he does on Thursdays. I'm so happy, and I'm always excited to talk to my brother, man. He is a diversity, equity, inclusion specialist. He is also doing some work in activism and social justice. And can we say political strategist? Are you a political strategist? No, now, yes. But look at the hair is flowing. Just
brother,
flowing.
You catching up, though. You catching up.
I love it, man. I love it. Brother Sinedu, welcome. I hope your new year has been fantastic, bro. And always good to see you. First, let's talk a little bit about this situation in Baltimore. The Baltimore Sun, the big newspaper in Baltimore, has been around for over 100 years. It has officially announced that it has been bought by Sinclair Broadcasting David D. Smith. He serves as the executive chairman of the Sinclair Broadcasting chain, and he's an active contributor to conservative causes. I've seen some postings on social media, Brother Sinedu, saying folks saying like, David D. Smith bought the Baltimore Sun. What should we expect? So I'm going to pose that question to you first, bro. What do you expect to see from the Sun at this point?
I mean, it will be in lockstep. I mean, the people who own the Sun and David Smith are not too far apart. I just think now it's more blatant. David Smith has come a long way from when he was in his 20s selling pornographic content in Baltimore, okay? He's come a long way. He's now running the second biggest media group in the country, who has over 193 stations. And it's really important to say that because when you own TV stations like this in local markets, you control how news is perceived or what news is important. So I was reading, because you got to do a little research before you come on here. I don't want to just say things from my point of view. There was a study done, I think in 2019. I forget who did it. I'll come back to you with who did it, but it analyzed the channels that they own, the media group, and they realized that their channels were taking out more local news and putting more national news. And in this day and age where we had a converging of white nationalists descend upon our nation's capital and disrupt the peace, people who own networks like that could be very dangerous to small town people who don't have some of the issues that the national news is talking about. But now if we're watching that news it can now trigger people on a national movement to do certain things. So we should be a little bit concerned.
We should be a little bit concerned. I've been reading a number of reports, Brother Sinedu, from people who used to work for The Sun, former reporters, former writers and whatnot. David Simon, the creator of The Wire and Homicide, he said The Sun hasn't been he posted a tweet on the X platform saying The Sun hasn't been the same as a shell of its former self. Other writers have expressed concern. When Mr. David Smith met with the staff at The Sun this past Tuesday, talking about the directions they have described, and this is based upon those who were there, and of course it was under anonymity, but they described the mood being very down, that folks kind of felt a little bit dejected, a little bit depleted, and very, very concerned about it. And I think that it is important to us to understand the power of information, why this is so important for us to at least discuss. For those who don't know, Baltimore has a Black population. It has gone down over the years, but it still remains to be a majority population, about 60 to 65% Black in the city of Baltimore. And the Baltimore Sun is the primary newspaper. Now, it is rivaling. There are some other newspapers that have cropped up over the past couple of years, like the Baltimore Banner and whatnot, which is Baltimore Banner is more digital. The Baltimore Sun is also, you have the paper and you have it online.
Afro.
And of course, the Baltimore Afro. But the Sun is still considered to be the primary source of information for the city of Baltimore, especially a Black Baltimore. And I know we got to take our first pause, but Brother Sinedu, when we talk about how do we ensure that the voices of Black people in a majority Black city is being expressed, the stories of Black people will be told properly, I want to get your take on that. Look, crew, I want y'all to jump in on the chat. If you have connected to any of this, if you want to discuss, what do you think may happen in a majority Black city where the newspaper is under a conservative owner? What's your take on that? What do you expect? And maybe in some other cities that this has happened. I would love to hear what you got to say. Post your comments on the chat as we're streaming live on Brother Roland's Facebook page, Brother Roland's YouTube channel. And of course, I want y'all to stay tuned. Just getting started right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
When you talk about Blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay Black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between
Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We're kicking off the conversations talking about the announcement coming from Baltimore, where the Baltimore Sun, the major newspaper in the city of Baltimore, has officially been bought by a conservative owner, Mr. David D. Smith, who is the executive chairman for Sinclair Broadcasting Group. And Sinclair is responsible for some of the local affiliates of Fox, especially in Baltimore. Of course, Fox News, being the conservatives, has a conservative slant in their reporting and have constantly been under scrutiny for their bias in reporting the stories of so many different issues. And so Mr. Smith has decided to move forward on purchasing the Sun, which has been seen as, quote unquote, more liberal. But now, under his ownership, there is great concern that we may see a change in how stories are being reported, and more importantly, how people, especially Black folks in a majority Black city like Baltimore, will be depicted. And I'm checking in with my brother Sinedu Okorafor, who is a diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist, to give us his take. And I want to hear from you, crew. What's your take on this? As we're seeing that, look, if we consider the backdrop, and I want to bring brother Sinedu back into the frame on us, please, Keenan. Thank you. When we're looking at the big picture of how information, where our people are getting information, how our people learning about what's going on in home and abroad and all of these things, and more importantly, the context of information. And I don't know if enough of us really think about this, brother Sinedu, but the reporting matters. The bias, you can read it in some cases. The slant is always there. So when you're talking about a conservative owner like Mr. David D. Smith, who is not running away about his politics, I want to share with you, folks, I want to share with y'all what AP put out about Mr. Smith around this issue. Take a look at this, Keenan. Let's throw up the first quote, bro. Thank you. Talking about David D. Smith. It said, David D. Smith, executive chairman of the Sinclair Broadcasting chain and an active contributor to conservative culture causes, has bought Baltimore Sun Media from the investment firm Alden Global Capital. The purchase price was not disclosed. Smith made clear that he used his personal resources to purchase the Sun, which will not fall under the Sinclair umbrella and will be under local ownership for the first time in 38 years. He also told the newspaper he had one partner, Armstrong Williams, a commentator who hosts a show on Sinclair affiliates. Let's go back real quick. If you're not familiar with Armstrong Williams, folks, Armstrong Williams is he's a Black man. He's in the GOP. He's a major voice within the GOP. I think he ran for office at one point, brother Sinedu. But he is, as you can see, he's a partner in this whole process. So you have a Black GOP, you have a white conservative who are looking to take over the Sun. Interesting dynamic, to say the least. Interesting dynamic. How does Black Baltimore feel about this whole process, as far as you know, based on the latest announcement?
I mean, I'm sure that there's two factions, that there's one side that's concerned and one side that's kind of laughing it off. But I think we should be very, very careful because remember, this is a Baltimore-based paper, and the Sinclair Group is in the outskirts of Baltimore. They're in Cockeysville, one of the satellite towns of Baltimore. But I think what's important to mention here is that pay attention to what's happening in Maryland. We have a Black Democratic governor, and we have a Black Democratic mayor in the city of Baltimore. since that mayor has been in the city of Baltimore. See, it's easy to talk down on Baltimore and talk up crime when it's happening and the numbers aren't changing. But for the first time in almost 30 years, the homicide rate actually went down.
Right.
Drastically. The reason why I said we all should be careful, and I think that most local Baltimoreans should be paying attention and maybe wanting to verify stories when they read, is from the data that I gave you earlier. The Sinclair Group is known that when they buy stations, they put down local and put on national. So I say that to say, if Baltimore starts to feel safer by statistics and data, he can make sure that the Sun starts to report maybe other type of news that is not quite Baltimore, that might be Chicago or other cities that are not doing as well, and kind of trying to jam it together to say there is crime here as well, which has been a conservative talking point. And I think we have to be careful because that strategy has worked in their base.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Let me go to what some of the crew members are saying about this issue as we talk about the conservative ownership of the Baltimore Sun. Robin Welch, you checked in around this. You said publishing more lies. You also suggested that, Robin, that people should start to unsubscribe to the Sun. Do you think that has that been part of the talk as far as you know, Brother Shanadu? That people will not?
No. The Sun is Baltimore. People are they have been losing subscribers, as many national papers have been, because they're going digital. That is the only thing that has been making them lose subscribers. But in a city like Baltimore that is old school, that sticks to its laurels and its traditions, it's not going nowhere.
That's a good point. Excellent point. Cindy D, you checked in and said Republican propaganda. That's what you will see. And I think that, and I'm glad Cindy brought this point up, because I was reading about this, and I don't know if I put this in the notes or not. But one of the, a media scholar was making the point that you got to be careful, because even though it might be under conservative ownership, to your point, there's a black governor, a black Democratic governor for the state of Maryland in Westmore. You got a black mayor, Democratic mayor in the city of Baltimore, Mayor Brandon Scott. You have Democrats outnumber Republicans overwhelmingly in the city of Baltimore and in the state of Maryland. But how does that fit? That, of course, the Baltimore Sun is Baltimore, but you still have the Capital Gazette, you still have other publications around the state. So with you talking about that political landscape of trying to push that part of the agenda in a Democratic stronghold like Maryland, how do you think that's going to fit?
That's the thing, it's not. And I think what's going to happen is going to make those who already follow conservative talking points, they're going to feel like, yes, this is what they're talking about. And I've also saw, because remember, you're reading the paper and then you're watching Fox, and then you're watching Newsmax, and then you're going on Truth Social. So if all of these things are following the same syndication, even if what you're reading sounds preposterous in an article, if you hear similar stories in other forms of media, then it starts to become truth, which we know has been the complete, that has been the skeleton of the MAGA movement. That's how they move. Where even if you want to believe that this is a falsehood or there's a different truth out there, it makes it difficult because of how it surrounds you. However, the good thing about journalism is they can always be fact-checked.
Absolutely. But see, here's my concern on that, Brother Shanadu, and I'm glad that you brought that point up. My concern is because it comes from an established, quote unquote, credible source that is not going to be fact-checked, right? Like, how many of us truly fact-check CNN, MSNBC? Some of us don't tune into Fox. I do sometimes. But, when you're talking about these established names in news reporting, how many of us really go fact-check? And even me, we reference various established names. Now, you have some of the smaller names, right? You might have a Politico, or you might even, quote from the BBC or Al Jazeera, for all of them we know, right? But we stick to the established names. And yes, sometimes their reporting can be mixed up. But the hope is that as a news institution, they're going to report and they're going to adhere to journalistic standards. And that's what you're really banking on, journalistic standards. The thing that we're seeing today is that we're getting more opinion and less journalism. We're getting more opinion and less facts. And opinions is big money today. That's why we source this information as we talk about these conversations. Opinion is big money. It's one thing to just, I mean, if you could go on any station, whether it's liberal or conservative, somebody's opinion is bringing in the dollars. And then there we go. And then we prop up the voice. We prop up that voice. You know what I'm saying? We prop up the voice on the conservative side as well as the liberal side. But opinions bring in the dollars. People, I'm starting to understand this. I don't think people really want the truth as much as we say we do. Because the truth will be, whew, I think it's easier for us to stay in our silos. I think it's easy for us to stay in an echo chamber and listen to people that, quote unquote, think like us. But if we start putting out the truth for real, you're going to lose some money. You are going to lose some money. Look, I got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, let's continue to talk about this. Also, let's on the other side, let's talk about how a conservative donor is attacking DEI efforts by using the words of the Honorable Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This is about information and why it's important for us to be vigilant and understanding news from fiction and understanding history from fiction as well. Stay with us. The conversation continues with you, Brother Nadu, on the other side, right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. We've been talking about the Baltimore Sun newspaper being bought by conservative owner David D. Smith of Sinclair Broadcasting Group, and talking about the implications of that in the reporting of news and the overall direction of information to a majority Black city like Baltimore, where over the city's population is over 65% is Black. And so when you're talking about putting one of the premier media institutions under conservative owner, what can we expect? I've been checking in with my brother Shanedu Wakwal Ford, diversity, equity, inclusion specialist, as we have this conversation. But I want to hear from you, crew. Make sure you post your comments on Roland Martin's YouTube page and Facebook page. We'll try to get to as many as possible. All right, let me jump in here because I just threw it out there, brother Shanedu, that we do want news to already fit how we see the world. And it's easy to fall into that trap. And I have to consciously and intentionally tell myself, you can't just read news that fits how you already see the world. And instead of reading news that comes from different sources. Now, I think, everybody is saying, brother Shanedu, like this 2024 will be the year of truth. My questions are, whose truth and which truth? Because you have some people who believe some stuff and other people who believe other stuff, right? So now we're in a very unique situation where lies and truth is at war with one another. And if you have established media institutions to affirm or deny, and then shape the context of how we're thinking about the information, how we see the world, it's going to confuse people. And because we're in this quagmire, opinion is king. Opinion makes money. Opinions shapes the conversation. It's all opinion. When we go on social media, how many people actually rely on facts? It's a bunch of hearsay, bro. It's just, you be like, well, where did you get that from? I saw it on. If you tell me you saw it on something, that means that you got it from social media. If you don't tell me I read it in this or I read it from that, I saw it from social media. All right, let's go to the crew, hear what folks got to say. Robin, you said, I agree with you, Farajii. People would rather live with lies than stand on truth. I think there's a lot of people that are scared of what the truth would do. 2024, the year of renewal, is here. You agree with that, brother Shanedu? You think that people would rather live with lies than stand on truth? And I think this is a great comment, Robin Welch. Thank you. And that you think there's a lot of people that are scared of what the truth would do. You agree or disagree with that?
I 100% agree. Because of a wise Black media prophet by the name of Charlemagne the God, he once said, no one cares for the truth when the lie is more entertaining. And if you look at the statistics of what we consume, it's entertainment. Take the news aside. Look at how television programs are being made. Very much entertainment, very much off of, it used to be reality TV, but now it's everything far from it. And I think our news plays into that too. We don't want you to be told the truth. We want you to be told what will sell and what would scare. And this is not just a conservative thing, because I think Jeff Zucker, the former CEO of CNN, during his reign, it was breaking news. Every fucking thing was breaking news. And it's like, now wait a minute. When you create sensationalization, then what breaking news becomes more important? When 3 kids die at a school or when 30 kids? And I think that is the problem of what news has done. It has warped our emotions to what matters, where the life of somebody doesn't matter, or being taken or whatever, or it depends how it's told. We see it with the Hamas-Israel thing. Difference between hearing somebody got or someone is dead. And lastly, it takes away, journalism has now turned into bloggers. Like now went to school. That's probably why, to your last story, it's probably why people were uneasy when the conservatives bought that thing, because they know that actual journalism is not a thing when it comes to this business of money, and that goes always. That integrity is gone, and it's now we're listening to the person who has no background in telling us what to listen to.
You got wannabe experts. Wannabe expert, and let me tell y'all something, man. Wannabe experts is so prevalent in our culture today, and on so many different levels, that people, it becomes this hustle, right? It becomes a real hustle to be like, I'm an expert, I'm a journalistic expert, I'm a media expert, you know what I'm saying? But you didn't put no real work into, reporting the facts. Case in point, Shannon Sharp, that major interview he did with Cat Williams, right? People were criticizing Brother Shannon. Well, why you didn't ask follow-up questions? Why didn't you stop the man when he said this and said that? Well, first thing, I think Shannon knew he was sitting on gold. He like, I ain't stopping the flow of this money train, Cat. You can talk all day. But then he also said, I am not a journalist. That man said, I am not a journalist. I'm a personality. A journalist is the part of the journalist's role is to seek facts, to seek the truth. Mm-hmm. Shannon didn't say, oh man, are you right? Are you true what you said about Cedric the Entertainer and Kevin Hart? Are you sure? He just let him ask questions, answer the question. So you got to ask yourself, well, where are we going to now? Let me throw this out there because I saw somebody else post this. And folks, continue to post your comments. Smooth Approach, welcome to the chat, bro. Good to connect with you once again. You said that's why independent Black media is important. We can dissect and find the truth. I love this Smooth Approach. I love it. That's why independent Black media is important. We can dissect and find the truth. When you think about your independent Black media, and independent Black media has actually gone down over the years. Whereas in pretty much either every state or every region of the country, there was a Black media company, there was a newspaper, there was a radio station or something. But over the years, that has been diminishing. So you have the Afro, you have the Final Call, you might have the some small Black newspaper in certain towns of the country, right? But they're not on a big level. You got Black Star Network in the digital space, right? Where it's a Black independent media outlet. But how many Black Star networks are in existence in the digital space? You know what I'm saying? How many Black news stations are on TV today? Remember back in the day, we used to have, I watched this brother on BET for years, Brother Ed Gordon. Then we had my sister that was on, what's the sister's name that was on BET? That was, she was dynamic. I mean, you had all of this Black talent, and look what happened. It just got disrupted. And so over the years, you got to ask yourself the question, and I mean, I know we got some folks that are conspiracy theorists. You got to ask, like, is this by design that Black people, going back to Smooth Approach, that Black people aren't able to dissect and find the truth on our own? Now we got to rely on other folks to talk to us about our media, what's important, what's not important, other folks to determine what is news and what we, like you said, what's breaking news. What's breaking news in one part of America may not be breaking news in other part of America. You see what I'm saying? I remember, Brother Sinead, if you remember this, of course, when Freddie Gray broke out back in 2015, and it was reported all over the world that there was an uprising in Baltimore. There was a rebellion in Baltimore. But I've actually talked to people, and they were like, man, we ain't know about that. In other parts of the country, they were like, I mean, I kind of saw that. And at the time, we are on the streets. We trying to handle all this stuff. We thinking this is the next Michael Brown. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And to some people, that thing was far from of importance. It speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. Pauline Hurt, you said yes, it is by design, Farajii. By design. Cindy D, you said BET should now be the Black Star Network. It's sad that Robert Johnson sold the network. And then that's the other part, right? Because you got to have a network that is supported by money. Who would I see? Anastasia Pageant, my sister Anastasia, you said they aren't doing their homework even when you was in school. The teachers you had to teach you how to do your fact check if you want to stop. Half-stepping. Teaching you how to fact check. Man, we don't fact check today, Brother Sinedu. Look, what's your final word on this? What should Black folks from around the country and Black folks in Baltimore, how should we handle this moment right now?
My final word, and I've said this 100 times, and I've said this many different segments that we had, and I'll keep saying it. The problem has always been integration, and it's going to always go back to that, because once we integrate it into their system, and we could be Americans like you, we stopped having the need for having businesses like us. So now all of a sudden the national carrier is better than the local carrier. That's why I can say NBC is telling me the truth, and this is little Black Star Network there. We got to stop doing that. We got to stop doing that. We have to pay attention, because most all news is local, is what they say. But them nationalizing the news, it's no conspiracy. It's just data. Look at the data. We have to be careful with how we consume. And a lot of it is not only what they're putting out, it's what we decide to take in. Because the same way you could turn on NBC and Fox, you could also turn on Black Star Network, right? And what you could do, should you choose, is do a side-by-side comparison. And if you see that in 2 or 3 different segments on both networks, that Black Star makes more sense and it's more credible, then that's who you follow. It's not just because who's big. Bigger is not always better.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to throw this out there, and then we got to take another quick pause. Educate to free us. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the crew. You posted something I really like. You said independent Black media is important, but people don't know the difference between Black owned and Black targeted. Many owned and controlled by the oppressor. Huge difference.
Huge difference. Foxhole, Black targeted.
Black targeted. Black targeted. Black Star Network, Black owned and Black targeted.
Yeah.
Huge difference, y'all.
If you need a reminder, just remember good old Don Lemon on CNN. Black,
there it is.
Black targeted, white owned.
Black owned and Black targeted. And I'm educate to free us. I love that, because I think that is an important, because Black targeted. Let me just say it. Let's talk about it. You know, if it's BET, Black targeted. It was used to be Black owned, right? But now it's Black targeted. And there's a difference, and you can tell the difference. You can feel the difference. And as you say, Brother Sinedu, if you did a quality control test side by side, you can tell the difference. Let me see this one last one right here. Lori, you said Jacqueline Reed from BET. I think that was her. What the sister name from BET, the anchor? I feel bad because her name escapes me at this moment, but absolutely. Look, I got to take another pause. Let's talk about how the conservatives are trying to disrupt the effort of DEI using Dr. King's words. Is an absolute tragedy of how they're twisting the words of one of our great leaders and why they are doing it. Stay with us. That conversation is up next here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. Checking in with my brother Shanidru Wakorfor as we have these conversations, and of course, checking in with you. Brother Shanidru, there is another conversation that I want us to have, and I wanted to get your take about this ongoing attack against diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts that are being... My brother went back in the chair. He was like, "Oh." And look, this is again, we're talking about messaging. This is talking about truth. We're talking about intent. This is a story around that. Conservative donor, Mr. Bill Ackman, the same Bill Ackman who was in the integral part in pushing former Harvard president Claudine Gay out of her position as Harvard president. Billionaire conservative donor. The same Bill Ackman whose wife was actually charged with plagiarizing. The same charge that he brought up against Claudine Gay that she wasn't found guilty of, but his own wife was found guilty of. Yeah, that guy, Bill Ackman. And so Bill Ackman, in a conversation and in a meeting, he was speaking with ex-owner Elon Musk and Representative Dean Phillips of Minnesota, who is a long-shot Democratic presidential candidate on the King's birthday. He called the DEI efforts the DEI movement. And he said it's an ideology that went against the tenets of King's 1963 I Have a Dream speech. Let me just tell y'all something, please. Look, man. Come on, let's keep this thing. Hold on. Before we get into what he said, I just want to make this very clear. Let's stop minimizing Dr. King to a damn speech, man. Read the history. After 1963, that man was shot and killed and assassinated in 1968. From 1963 to 1968, there was an evolution of philosophical, political, and social thought of Dr. King. Y'all need to learn the history. Don't let people keep him at I have a dream. He was more of a revolutionary than than people would like for us to believe. I'm just telling you, read the history of Dr. King. His ideas were falling in line with the quote unquote black militant black power movement at the time when he was killed. That's why he decided to stand up against the Vietnam War. That's what got him killed. But let's go back to Mr. Bill Ackman. He's a hedge fund manager, and he's been on the forefront of an effort to delegitimize DEI programs. And he made a statement. Let me just share with you his statement. Let's post that first quote from Mr. Bill Ackman, please. Thank you, bro. He said, I think Dr. King would be very opposed to this sort of ideology, even though, diversity is a good thing. Listen to what he said. Even though, of course, a culture where everyone feels comfortable and included is critically important. He said, when he was asked by NBC News for comment, he said, we don't have any additional comment beyond what Bill said on the spaces, but this is the problem. He said that Dr. King in his great I Have a Dream speech, when he talks about the content of one's character, he doesn't look at skin color. He said that this is the very thing that delegitimizes DEI efforts. That if Dr. King, quote unquote, is looking at the content of character and not looking at skin color, then Dr. King doesn't stand for diversity. I didn't make this up, y'all. Y'all can check this for yourself. That's what he said. He's not the only conservative who thinks this way. Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, another conservative, of course, presidential candidate, he said the same thing, They are taking the words of Dr. King and twisting them in such a way that they are using it for their agenda to delegitimize diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. The sad part about it is, this great concern that I have, Brother Shanedu, is that some Black folks and some white people are going to hear that and even believe that, not understanding the full context. And this is why it's important for us to give context to these type of things. Talk to me, brother, because this is a growing trope used in the conservative Republican circles to justify breaking up diversity efforts.
Again, there is some slight truth to what that white man is saying. I don't like to listen to white people. And if we're smart enough, we'll understand that when Martin Luther King said that my 4 little kids will be judged by the color of their skin, by the content of their character, that was within his dream, which is not real, which also means that the reality that he lives in is nothing like the dream, that it's the opposite. And I think what white people have always done is take from the best of us and try to manipulate and what I find interesting about this white man in particular, and I have to say it, white Jewish man, and it's important that I say that, because over the last year or two, when we have this conversation about power, we say that people are anti-Semitic, but it's interesting how all these power moves made by powerful men are always Jewish, always. That's how a president of an institution was removed. It's important to say it, not to diminish their religion, but to make a clear fact of what we said when we were talking about, what's his name, not taking the vaccine in the NBA. It's a power group that seems to make all the decisions that everybody must follow. Just saying. Anywho, what I find interesting is when you look at him as a businessman, I think he's a billionaire, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he is.
He doesn't have a problem with diversity. Every rich person will tell you that they diversified their portfolio, okay? I currently live in Texas. We have a diverse mix of how we receive electricity. We get it through gas. Natural gas is powering our plants. We have wind, we have solar. That is a diversified energy mix. Nobody has problems with diversity. Equity. This man runs a company. Everybody loves putting equity into companies. That's how you get your shares back, okay? They have no problem with that. The issue is the I. Inclusion. That means I have to share the first two with you. And that is the issue. Nobody wants to. Before, it was about us getting a piece of the pie. And now we want access to the whole pie. And there's an issue with that. The biggest problem that the Ron DeSantis of this world have is, and I will keep saying it, white men believe that if Black men and women are given the equal chance of white men, that we will do exactly to them what they did to us. But what they fail to realize is it is their weakness that causes them to act that way. And it is our strength that causes us to be opposite of that way. But that is their fear. When you know you've done something wrong, that is your fear. That is your fear.
And I mean, we're and that fear is so palpable nowadays, Brother Shanedu. You know what I'm saying? That you take and you twist the words of one of America's greatest leaders, one of Black America's greatest leaders, and try to fit your agenda. And it's very, very troublesome, to say the least. It's troublesome because if you truly care, Dr. King Dr. King stood for eradicating militarism, eradicating poverty, eradicating racism, all the isms. But the conservatives will say, well, we stand with Dr. King, and our efforts to delegitimize DEI efforts is to go against with his dream. But what about all of the other stuff? What about the racism? What about the poverty that exists in America, the economic disparities that still exist in America today between Black people and white people? What about Dr. King would have stood for housing? Dr. King stood for political power. Look at the gerrymandering and the redlining that exist in cities, counties, states, and all across this country. Militarism. Dr. King stood for nonviolence and peace, but the Republicans are some of the biggest war hawks of our time, the neoconservatives. See, this is the problem, and I'm sure a lot of Black folks, of course we don't listen to like conservative donors, and we're not expecting, we don't give no real credence to certain voices, but it's just the audacity to take that man's word from 1963. Again, if you looked at the history of Dr. King, by the time in 1968, he was in a different headspace. He was evolved. And this is what y'all hold on to. It's sad. Absolutely sad. Let me see this. Cindy D, you said they didn't want us to have any of the pie. Right. Right. Robin Welch, you said the mind is yet so strong, but oh so weak. So yes, people will hear that and be confused, and they will not do the work to study and critically think for themselves. Come on. Come on.
Look at that word you just used. Critically think. Wasn't that the first thing they attacked? Critical race theory. They want to take away your critical thinking skills first,
right?
And then dismantle everything else.
Right, right. So how, very quickly, Brother Shanadu, how are DEI and the specialists like yourself, DEI programs and efforts? I mean, because we're at a culture war, we're at a diversity attack. How is the industry taking all of this?
Here's the truth. People are just talking. They're just talking.
Okay.
They're just talking. It is on the front end, it is very scary. People are losing jobs, people are losing. But let me tell you something to your point. On the back end, it'll never happen because of one thing. And I'll tell you what that one thing is. Militarization. You just said that's how this country works, right? What is the most important? There is one important piece that our military needs that is not made here. And those are called the semiconductors. And that's made by a company in Taiwan, TSMC. Okay? They're building, I think, a $20 or $30 billion fabrication plant here in America. Guess who you're going to need to do all that? Guess who has that knowledge to do all that, the work, and who has the know-how, the wherewithal to do all of those works? They're foreign people. They're foreign people. So no matter what these conservatives say on the front end, in order to make your America First agenda works, America don't have the education to make America First work. So you need people from out of town, you'll need people from out of the country. And in order to make them feel good about working for you and leaving their country, you gotta hire a DEI officer. So if America wants to protect its sovereignty, which is based on its militarization, it will be begging for DEI. You mark my words.
And if America wants to protect its sustainability, if America gets back into a space where it's not opening its doors for Black, Brown, Asians, women, and all groups of people to be a part of this country in a very real and significant way. If America is not doing that, America is not going to survive for too long. It's not going to survive for too long. And we're seeing that. Institutions are falling, systems are breaking apart, and the rich class, the elite class, those who, and I'm speaking of the white rich elite class who want to try to dictate the agenda, y'all, they're going to be frustrated because you can't stop diversity now. It's happening. The genie is out the lamp, bro. It's happening. You got all types of people in this country. People are reproducing other people. You know what I'm saying? You can't stop this thing. You can't put this thing back. You can't tell people, man, go back to your country and all that stuff. Then America is either going to have to accommodate or going to be suffering in terms of sustainability. You got to find a word, bro.
I just think, again, be careful with rhetoric. Rhetoric is very powerful. Remember, a man got into office and said he's going to build a wall and do this. And most of what he said he was going to do, he did a little bit of it, but he didn't really do it. what these people are doing, how they work together, is just to make you afraid and fearful, which is a slavery. Now, when you stand up outside of that fear, they really can't do anything. And we saw that with the Montgomery boycotts. We saw that with the sit-ins, so on and so forth. We're in a different time now. But I think it's important that when we see this thing, we should be fearful, but we should also face it head on and stay local. I'll leave you with this last thing. The whole thing we were talking about today is the importance of local media and why it's important. Let me make an example here. Dr. King, fortunately, one of the greatest Black men that live in this country, unfortunately, he was seen as the big media. He was seen as the big corporations, right? Very big name. Everybody knew him, can meet with the president, so on and so forth. But as he came to his last years, you know what he ended up being like?
Come on.
Local news, Malcolm X, the ones that are in the community, that have the voice of the street. So if you ain't learned nothing from us today, keep your information local and support Black local news.
All movements start local. All revolutions start local.
Yes, sir.
You can't have no national revolution. Come on. You can't be no national movement, no national revolution if there isn't any local action. It's just that simple. Brother Sinedu, I always appreciate you, man. You always bring some insight. Thank you so much. God willing, we'll be reconnecting with you next week. But thank you so much for being so good for the culture, bro.
Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you. All right, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about getting in touch with our emotions. We've been having a lot of emotional conversations this week, but today I wanted us to talk about this emotion of anger. And should Black people embrace anger? Should we redefine our relationship with the emotion of anger? I'm going to be checking in with our life coach, personal coach, Trinette Collier, to talk to us a little bit about this. And later on, let's talk about something else that I think is very important, which is the idea of thanking yourself publicly. Yeah, I'm gonna share the story around the sister Niecy Nash Betts and how when she won her award for her role in Dharma, how she thanked herself, and how some people were like, really, you thank yourself? We'll have that conversation. Stay with us. All that's happening on the other side right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay Black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the second half of the show as we're streaming live on a number of different platforms. First, our home platform of blackstarnetwork.com. Make sure you do your due diligence, folks. Download the app for free. Follow us on social media under Black Star Network and drop a little something in the bucket to sustain us as we're looking for new investors and stakeholders. Your support makes a world of difference for this Black-owned, Black-targeted independent media. And so you can do so right there online on our website at blackstarnetwork.com. We're also streaming on Amazon platforms. You can check us out on Amazon News on your Fire TV, on Amazon Prime Video. You can check us out there. Find us on Prime Video app under Live TV The News, or find us on Amazon.com under Prime Video, then Live TV The News. And you can check us out on the Freevee Network on now under News, as well as Plex TV, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just search for Black Star Network or Live TV, or find us on a Live TV, The News and Opinions. Now, we're also streaming on Roland Martin's YouTube page, where you find some of the great members of our culture crew, as well as Roland Martin's Facebook page where our crew is. And we are also represented on the crew on the X platform. So big shout out to all of those spaces and to the crew members that are checking in from around the country. There it is right there. Let's switch gears. I wanted to talk about the emotion of anger. And folks, y'all know culturally, as Black folks in this country, we have always been told when we cannot be angry. And I've been thinking about this. We've been having some emotional conversations, but I'm looking at this, and this is a huge part of our culture. It's more like the unwritten law that when we're in work, whether we're at home, whether we're out in public of any kind, Black folks can't be angry. Now, I saw this piece in Essence Magazine, and I sent it to my sister Trinette, who is joining us. She is a relationships coach. She is a personal coach, licensed personal coach, and she is an author. She is a speaker. So she's here to join us as she's been doing, kicking off for 2024. Trinette, welcome to the culture once again. Always good to have you, my sister.
Hey.
But if we talk about anger, the emotion of anger, and I thought this was so fascinating. There was a story that ran at Essence Magazine on essence.com.
Yeah.
And it talked about it, of course, in the context of Black women getting mad and that whole label of the angry Black woman.
Yeah.
And now in this particular piece, Essence is saying, sisters, get mad. You have every right to be angry about whatever is going on in your life. But I wanted to expand the conversation.
Yeah.
I wanted to not just talk to our sisters, but we got to talk to the brothers as well to get a sense of what we can do to reconnect with our anger. And that's why we're posing the question, should Black people embrace anger? Let me just share with y'all very quickly what it said in Essence, and then I want to get my sister Trinette's thoughts on this. Let's go with quote one, please, Keenan. One licensed psychotherapist by the name of Patrice Douglas, she said, being angry is our birthright. Yeah. And she said that being angry is one that was taken from us during slavery. Now, Ms. Douglas also said anger is a natural response to certain provocations, but because we were considered property and didn't have a say in things, We never had the privilege or permission to embrace and express our emotion appropriately. And anger can do so many great things for us as people. What? She dropped a jewel on that one.
You did.
She dropped the jewel on that one. I love it. I love it. Let's talk about this. Do you agree with our sister Patrice Douglas on this? Is anger our birthright, and has it been taken because of our experience in chattel slavery?
I do agree with it, because we have not been given the opportunity to express ourselves. You know, as a relationship coach, I've literally had anger problems, and I didn't realize it until later on in life. And you know, and it was through my therapy that I found out how angry I was, right? But I was never given an opportunity because one, the type of person I was, everyone expected me to be sunshine and roses, right? So I just never got a chance to express how angry I was at certain things and whatnot. So you're taught to bottle it up, you're taught to keep it moving, and you're not given that chance to express that. And then when we do express it, I'm just speaking from my own experience, when we do express it, it comes out in different ways, such as violence or toxicity. And, you know, and then it becomes another cycle where people are constantly like, well, she's the angry Black woman, or, you know, you're just so angry. But nobody has sat down and said, listen, it's okay to be angry. Let's find a way to channel this anger. Let's find some healthy solutions and ways to release this anger. Because again, you're talking about being on the job. You're talking about, like you said, at home. You're talking about in the public eye. We don't get a chance to express that we're just upset about something. And it's okay. Let me just get it out. Let me just say, hey, I don't like this, or it made me upset. So I don't want to be angry all the time. You know, I don't want to walk around as the angry Black woman. So that's why I took my own, I literally had to take it. I had to take charge of my own life, and I had to say, listen, this is not normal for me. This is not normal. I don't want to be considered the angry Black woman. I don't want to be mad. You know, I love life. I love smiling. I know things have happened, but I don't want to be angry. So I
agree. I definitely agree. And there are a couple of things. There are so many different layers to this that I'm hopefully we can get to them, Trinette. But our anger is a part of a natural response. I want to go back to what Patrice Douglas, the psychotherapist, had said about that. Because when we were enslaved, when our ancestors and our people were in chattel slavery, we had to hold in. It was beaten into us and conditioned into us to be joyous about our circumstances.
Right.
The great myth that white people who came to the shores of Africa saved us from savagery. Right. You know, some of us may have been taught that when we were in schools, they came to do us a service by putting us in chattel slavery and removing us from our homes and our origin of our origin. Right. So that's a myth. But even during the period of chattel slavery, we were taught to be grateful. Yeah. We were taught to be thankful. We were taught that God had bestowed his grace upon us to be in that condition. Right. Because where would we have been if it wasn't for them? For them. And see, and it sounds insane now, right? Yeah. But think about this was the ideology that our grandparents, great grandparents lived by. And then if you get once we came out of chattel slavery, we started living under Jim Crow. Yeah. And that whole idea of you again being grateful in your servile position in life. Yeah. Yeah. You can't show no anger. And it is one of the most toxic and most unhealthy ways of being when you can't express anger. Because what, as Dr. Patrice said, as the psychotherapist said, it is natural for you to get angry when you have been provoked.
Right.
And when you don't recognize the natural, then you become unnatural in your existence. I'm gonna just say that again, y'all, because some of y'all may have missed it. When you don't recognize the natural, a lot of us don't want to even acknowledge that we have certain feelings when things happen in our lives. So when you don't recognize the natural, then your existence, your expression, how you go about living and being in the world becomes unnatural because you got to do all this masking.
Yeah. And that masking.
And that's toxic. That's toxic AF. I'm gonna just say it like that. That's toxic.
Yeah. Because the mask, it becomes part of us. You know, it becomes part of us, and then we're going through life and we're just, you know, we're smiling. We're like, I'm okay. I'm okay. No, I'm not mad. No, I'm okay. I'm grateful. Like you said, you know, we were conditioned. And so now we don't know we don't know what's real and what's not. And we don't know how to decipher, like, okay, am I really angry? Am I putting on? Am I over exaggerating? Is it too much? You know, we start questioning this, and it's like, no, I'm angry. I'm just upset that something didn't work out, and it's okay for me to be angry at that. Now, if you know, I think it goes deeper if we're like constantly angry at something all the time and don't have a reason. I think that's when we need to start looking at like getting some help, seeking some help, or, you know, like what is the root of your anger, you know, because sometimes some people do really have those anger issues that stem back from childhood trauma or whatever the case may be. Now, you know, in those cases, I think that's something that we do need to look into. But if you're just, you know, not allowing people to just express themselves, like, no, he fixed my car wrong. The car was, you know, he misdiagnosed my car and now I have to pay out extra money. I'm angry about that versus saying, oh, she's an angry Black woman and she don't know what she's talking about. You know, that has happened to me, you know, and to a lot of women in general. You know, it's like, no, I'm trying to express that something is not right, but you're taking it to the next level. And now you're calling me an angry Black woman because I'm upset I have to spend extra money. You know,
come on.
Extra layer. There are layers to all of this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, we got to take a quick pause from there. Folks are checking in. I love what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing in the chat. Folks, make sure you all post your comments in the chat. We're streaming on Roland Martin's YouTube page, Roland Martin's Facebook page. But I love the chat. I can't wait to share with you what some of you are saying, because I think this is the wrong relationship that we should have. And I know this might be even a controversial topic to talk about. But guess what? We should be angry. Black people should not be happy about the condition that we find ourselves in this country, about the condition of our personal lives. At some point, you got to get angry, y'all. And it's okay. Because when the rest of the world gets angry, then what? Then we gotta take that. When white America gets angry, we gotta take that. But when Black America, y'all keep yourself under control now. You stay within the lines that we gave you. No more. Folks, we'll continue the conversation on the other side. Stay with us. It's The Culture right here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage. as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
We just have one of the oldest cultures that's desperately needed for mutual salvation. That's the consciousness. We have the keys in our roots to save mankind. We get to see the condition of other countries, other oceans, other cultures. And if we believe in God, a lot of us do, He's telling us if you don't get rid of that stuff that makes somebody superior or inferior and work together for the mutual salvation, everybody's gone.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by my sister, Trinette Collier Green, who is the inspirationalist. She's a relationship coach, and she's talking to us about this idea, this question that we're posing: should Black people embrace anger? And if we don't think about this, and some of us may not even think about this, but this is such a part of our culture where we are told to stay under control, to not get angry, even when we are provoked, whether it's by the police, whether it's by a neighbor, whether it's by a coworker or a colleague. We are always told to remain under control. And I'm gonna go as far as to say, even God gets angry, man.
Oh yeah,
even God. We say no, but see, Trinette, we say that we talk about the goodness of and greatness of God. We talk about, oh my gosh, He is the God of love. He's the God of peace, but God gets angry.
Yeah, because the foolishness that's happening down here.
Right.
I'm pretty sure
so if the source of all creation gets angry, and my pastor and my brother Damon, he posted the scripture where he talks about this. Let me see if he said the scripture says, "Be ye angry and sin not," in Ephesians 4:26. He posted that. It makes me think, like, if God can get angry, the source of all creation is angry, then why are we told not to do something that is natural?
Right. As a former educator, I would teach. I taught all grades, pre-K through 5, and in my pre-K class, we're always talking about emotions and feelings, right? And we have the chart. And I remember we were going through the emotions, and when it came to the anger part, a lot of the children were like, "No, you can't get mad, you can't get angry," and it was natural for them to say that, right? But I would allow in my classroom for my little Black boys and my Black girls to get angry, and it's okay. I will embrace it with them. I'm like, why are you angry? And they'll say, well, such and such took my toy and that made me upset. So I embrace that, and it would let them know it's okay. So now let's find a creative way to not get unangry, But I never told them not to get angry, because that's not fair to them, and that's not life. Because there are going to be some moments in your life as a little Black boy, as a Black girl, you're going to be upset and angry about something that's not fair, to you or to your family or whatnot. And it's not going to be a happy moment. There's some things in your life that's going to happen. It's not going to be a happy and ring around the roses moment. So I think we do, I always say, let's go back to those conversations and open up and have that dialogue with our family and make it, open it up to where we can talk about these things at the dinner table. It's so much for us to talk about at home. And I think that's just where the conversation, I'm big on let's have this conversation, you know, because a lot of this is in our home. We do teach our boys and girls, when you go out there, keep it together, hold it together. You don't let you don't let anybody get you upset. But some things we need to be angry about, you know. And
I mean, come on.
We have to be angry.
Hey, look, Trinette, first and foremost, let's give Trinette a big shout out for even impressing that upon the next generation, because we need that. We need teachers to make us feel safe to express our emotions. This is what we've been talking throughout all throughout the week, Trinette, is that we create a quote unquote safe space to express our emotions. And when we start to diminish that, when we start to act as if these things don't exist, or that we start to feel shameful for being angry.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to things that as I'm going back to what Patrice Douglas, the psychotherapist, said, especially when we have been provoked, if somebody has disturbed your peace, that's a reason for you to get upset. That's a reason for you to get angry.
Yeah.
Right? Let me go. You don't like my music? Welcome to the chat once again. You posted something that I think is absolutely true, man. You said injustice should make you angry. Come on, man.
Listen,
Lord.
I have to be responsible in what I say over time, especially being, you know, in my position, and I'm good with that. But I remember making a comment after the incidents, George Floyd and all of these over time. And I said, why aren't we angry? Why are we fussing with each other about what should be burned down? Don't get me wrong. I don't want anybody to lose their job. I don't want anybody to burn down anything, but why are we up our own, you know, community or whatnot? And then, you know, I remember having this dialogue with other brothers and sisters. Well, you know, we have to express our anger in a different way. And I just blurt out, like, why? We're mad. Somebody killed one of our brothers in public. Why do we have to sit back and hold it in? These emotions, we are not given the chance to talk about this because it's like well, you know, that's just the way things. No, like, give us a chance to talk. Give us a chance to express how we're feeling, because we are angry. And it's a lot of the pandemic had a lot of us angry, you know, but we were not given a chance to express that. We're like, okay, get back to work, keep the world going. And then our children coming back into school, and they're upset because a lot of changes took place and nobody sat down to talk to them about these changes. So now you have little children, Black boys and girls, who are now, they're angry about, okay, now people are trying to make us learn, you know, now we have to adjust to a new way of living. Things are not back on track, but nobody's giving us a chance to talk about these things. And so that, you know, we are angry. And so my question would be, why not? How come we cannot express that? Why are we taught, and why are we continuing to teach each other that the anger is we have to hold it in? And
I'm going back to the psychotherapist. It comes from our time in slavery to accept punishment, right? To accept oppression and tyranny, to the point where if you even speak out against oppression and tyranny, you're seen as the enemy.
Yes.
Ain't that crazy?
Wow.
I mean, that's where we see it, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we run from that. And I think this is very interesting that if y'all see, if anyone that tunes into the show or anyone that tunes into the network, y'all be like, man, there's some angry Black folks. Well, hell yeah, look at the state of Black America.
Yeah, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, this is different. Now, this is another quote from the piece from Essence, and I think this is also very important. Let's put up quote 2, please, Keenan. Thank you, bro. It said that even today, our anger, when we do express it, gets filtered through the stereotype lens of the angry Black woman, because they're talking to Black women in essence. And I'm going to even throw in the angry Black man, costing us professionally and personally, in the most extreme cases, putting us in life-threatening situations.
Yeah.
Aware of these outcomes, many Black women and men have opted out of exploring their anger and learned into being unbothered instead.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that. Sincerely Bowen, author of Bad Fat Black Girl, says this popular cultural response is a quote, very cute distraction rooted in parody. Avoiding our anger has never existed as a true, authentic solution. Being unbothered gives us a way to walk away from a natural emotion we have no safe way of expressing and haven't had the opportunity to understand. Lord Jesus. Come on. How many of us, but whether you're man or woman, have to be taught how to be unbothered? And then we take that same unbothered state, take it home, right? And so we don't express ourselves. We become, and we talked about this for Black men earlier this week, Trinette, being emotionally unavailable.
Oh, yes.
Right? Holding in the pain, holding in the frustration, but trust and believe it's going to come out in some way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
You become a ticking time bomb in your own home, in your own community. You blow up at your people. And that's why I think that's a huge part of why we got so much quote unquote Black on Black violence.
Yeah.
We start to hate each other.
Yeah.
Because of the anger that has been as a result of our oppression, as a result of the treatment that we receive, the injustice that we live under, and we let it out on each other, whether it's by gun, whether it's by verbal abuse, whether it's by men hitting women, whether women hurting and killing children. I mean, it comes out in ugly ways. Talk to me, Trinette. How do we get a handle on that?
I agree. And, this is something that I talk about with couples and relationships. A lot of times, again, I emphasize on building a healthy relationship with yourself first before while you're in a relationship, because a lot of times we are angry within ourselves and we don't know why. And so we've never expressed it. We get together and we blow up at each other because we don't know how to have culture conversations. We don't know how to sit down and express how angry we are about something. And we hold this in and we're expecting our partners to know what we're thinking and have a solution. But that's not the case, because we have not sat down to talk to each other. We have not given each other a safe space to say it's okay to express. One of the activities I would do I've always had classrooms with boys, Black boys. And I never understood it until years later. God gave me the revelation of why I was always teaching Black boys. And I remember one year I had a class, I think about 12 or 13 boys, right? And so these little Black boys, I loved them and they loved me. But I had some angry little boys in the room. And I remember one of the exercises, I said, listen, we're not going to do any work today. Just take a crayon, take a color marker, whatever you want to do, and scribble all on the desk. Get on the floor and scribble on the floor. Now, we've been taught not to write on walls and desks and the floors, right? But my boys, what I knew I needed for my boys at that time, they needed to express. And Farajii, when I tell you, I put on some soft music, right? And I just remember my boys just scribbling away. And one of my babies said he was mad. And I said, why are you mad? And he went down this list of things that were happening at home to him.
Wow.
And I had tears in my eyes because he wasn't the only one. But the way he was scribbling and just all on the table, I can get rid of I can clean that up with Clorox wipes, right? But it was just that moment of freedom that I allowed. That was that safe space. And that's why I always encourage people inside your homes, create that safe space, because we are living in a place where we don't have that space where we can express, even within our own community. People are like, you don't need to be angry. That's just hereditary. No, it's something bothering us.
Come on.
Let it out. Let's find a creative way. And that was a creative way that I learned with my students at that time. And at the end of the hour, my boys were fine, right? So that was something part of the classroom that I let them do. If they were angry, they would let me know, and then I would tell them, "Hey, find a little square on your table or somewhere, and scribble it out, and then we could talk about it and come on back." But we have to
Absolutely.
find these creative ways to allow each other to express how we're feeling. And we're not doing that. Not even in our own community, we're not doing that.
And if that is a part of the solution in terms of giving each other space, because I know sometimes in our interactions with one another as Black folks, right? When one person is angry, then the next person in the same conflict, they get angrier than the other person getting, and nobody wants to walk away. Nobody's just saying, "Hey, look, let's just put this thing on pause for a minute," right? Or if that does happen, you have one person that says, "Let's put this thing on a pause," and the other person's just going at it. And we see this in male-female relationships a lot. I saw a situation, Trinette, years ago. The man, obviously, him and his lady, this was while I was in Baltimore, came storming out the house. I'm watching this whole thing play out. He came storming out the house into, major intersection. He's walking out. The sister is running behind him. She's still in her house clothes. All the back and forth.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to walk away.
Yeah.
And she is going at. He stops. I said, "Oh, Lord." He turns around and he says to her, gets up in her face and said some words to her, and continues to try to walk, and she's still going at it. And I'm thinking to myself, sister. My sister, you got to know when to because this man is about 10 seconds away from knocking you into the street.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that sometimes we do have to recognize that you can't keep pushing people's buttons, right? And if this is so prevalent, same thing. Men do it with women and everything, but we thinking walking away is a punk thing, right? Like, I can't walk away. I'm gonna show this person that I ain't no punk.
You have to set up those boundaries.
You got to set up those boundaries. Now, here's the other thing: as before we take our break, real quick, my sister Karen Connor, you checked in and said, "Our anger is the result of the trauma we have suffered personally, witnessed, and learned about the suffering of our ancestors. Our hearts have emotional scars from all the trauma."
Yeah.
And I agree.
And
I agree. And here's a term that I thought about as I'm listening to you, Trinette. I had to look up a term, and I'm sure, Pastor Damon, you probably use this term. The term righteous indignation, folks. Look this up. Righteous indignation is anger driven by contempt, according to one definition. We are angry because we are disgusted at something we perceive to be morally incorrect. So we use the term righteous indignation because the wrong that has been committed by us is on a moral level. We feel it morally. We feel it in our bones. So going back to what You Don't Like My Music said in terms of injustice, that's a moral violation that the human being can't be afforded certain opportunities. We're talking about the right to vote. We done that when that right to vote has been removed or when it becomes threatened, that's a cause for righteous indignation.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? When you're talking about the conversation about women's rights to choose and make decisions about how they should treat their own bodies, that's a cause of righteous indignation. For women and for men. So, there's a way to be angry. And I think some of our crew members in the chat talked about this. You just got to learn how to control your anger. And I think that's the part. That's the part. Talk to me about that. Let me take a quick pause.
So I feel like we do have to learn how to control that anger. We do have to, teach our children, you just don't go up and hit anybody when you're angry. You're not going to throw anything, but you have a right to express that. And what does that look like? We have to show our children, what does that look like? And even show our partners, our family members, what does expressing yourself look like? You know, what does being angry mean? Are you able to express how angry you are in our household? And you know, what does it look like? I think it's just a matter of showing each other what it looks like, because some of us don't know how what it looks like. So we do, you know, we lash out with the words, the verbal abuse, the physical abuse, and not just between men and women, but between sisters and your siblings, between I'm watching parents fight with their children.
Come on.
I just witnessed, not witnessed personally, but just saw something on the internet where a father shot his son. And know, and I'm thinking like, wow, this was anger built up. And somewhere down the line, nobody was able to express this or share it. Like, what happened? So I'm seeing this more and more in our relationships, and especially in our families. And that's scary. Those are ticking time bombs, and everybody probably has just passed it on. Oh, well, you know, that's how they do, and they just gonna argue. And this, no, if it gets to that point, there's a major problem. There's a major
problem. Absolutely. Let me see. The Stephanie Humphrey channel, you posted something. You said, I used to have, and since I truly appreciate you posting this, you said, I used to have free release journaling at the start of the summer academy class I taught with high schoolers. We went around and shared if we wanted. It was powerful. I love that idea, Stephanie Humphrey channel.
Yes.
Writing down, you're taking a moment to write down how you're feeling, getting it all out on paper. It's like that old methodology, that old method of, like, you know, writing a letter to somebody and never sending it.
I still do that.
Do you write a letter to yourself? Right.
Listen, them 10-page letters. I got 25-page letters. Okay.
Hey, look. We journal.
Yes.
We take a time out. Some of us, we might meditate. Some of us may go to prayer. You know what I'm saying? I've gone to the prayer rug when I've been in a very angry state.
Yeah.
And watch what that does with 5 minutes, 10 minutes of communion with your creator.
Yes.
However you find your peace, man.
Yeah.
And however you find your peace. But I'm going to just say this, as we've got to wrap up this part. It's okay to be angry.
Yes.
You just got to find ways. And then we all grown-ass adults at this point.
Yeah.
We understand what trauma has done. We understand then what toxic parenting has done, because we have all been experienced some level of toxic parenting or something as growing up. But at this point in our lives, and if you're watching this show, there's a certain level of consciousness you have. You know you can find a way to find your peace, to get back into balance and equilibrium with yourself.
Yeah.
It's okay to be angry, but if you stay angry all the time, how can you feel the love? How can you feel the warmth of other people?
Exactly. I agree.
How can you find the space in your heart to love yourself again? Or even, let's go even further, right, Trinette? How can you find space in your heart to reconcile your differences with the other person you're in conflict with?
Exactly. Conflict resolution. We need it.
Come on. Let's do it. Let's do it. We got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's talk about Niecy Nash Betts, how she thanked herself during her award speech, and how some people say, you know what? That is revolutionary. I want to get your take on that as well, crew. And we'll check in with Trinette as well to get your take on this final conversation right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. This is an opportunity for us to be able to speak to our issues. Y'all better understand something real quick. We ain't going nowhere. It is a continual battle that we see all across this country. Revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be streamed.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
He makes sure that our stories are told.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad, joined by my sister, Trinette Collier-Green, who is the inspirationalist and relationship coach, and joining us. She joins us every Thursday here on The Culture. Let's talk about thanking yourself.
Yeah.
Niecy Nash Betts, who has kind of rose to fame from her pivotal role in the Comedy Central show Rescue. What's that? Reno 911.
Yeah.
Reno 911. She played in that show, which she was super funny in that. She has grown. She has moved on. She has risen to the top. She recently just was awarded an Emmy for her role in the Netflix show Dahmer, that talks about the story of Jeffrey Dahmer, and she played the black neighbor that was next to Dahmer at the time. And if y'all haven't seen Dahmer, whew, powerful.
Yeah.
Her role was pivotal in that limited series. She got the acceptance. She got the award at the Emmys. I want to play for you what she said, and then we'll talk a little bit about this as we wrap up the show. Let's cue up her acceptance speech from the Emmys. Take a look at this, folks.
And you know who I want to thank? I want to thank me for believing in me and doing what they said I could not do. And I want to say to myself in front of all you beautiful people, go on, girl, with your bad self. You did that. Finally, I accept this award on behalf of every black and brown woman who has gone unheard yet over-policed, like Glenda Cleveland, like Sandra Bland, like Breonna Taylor. As an artist, my job is to speak truth to power, and baby, I'm gonna do it to the day I die. Mama, I won!
Now, before she said that, I don't want everybody to say, she came out and the first thing she did say, Trinette, was, I want to thank God Almighty for this divine moment.
She did say that?
So she did say that in that speech. Now, I want to play for you what she said after the awards ceremony, and in response to a question that was posed about her thanking herself publicly. Take a look.
Only one who knows what it cost me. I'm the only one who knows how many nights I cried because I couldn't be seen for a certain type of role. I'm the one who knows what it's like to go through divorce on camera and still have to pull up and show out, and you still got to go home and you have children and a whole life. And so I'm proud of myself. I'm proud that I did something that people said I could not do because I believed in me. And sometimes people don't believe in themselves. And I hope my speech was a delicious invitation for people to do just that. Believe in yourself and congratulate yourself. Sometimes you got to encourage what? Yourself. And that's why it's not called mama esteem, them esteem, us esteem. It's called self-esteem, because don't nobody got to believe it but you.
Yeah, I get it. I really do, especially being as an entrepreneur. You know, it's the many nights you by yourself. You are crying. You like, listen, listen. I know what it takes. I get it. For me, I know I probably wouldn't have. I would have thanked everybody who's been my supporters. You know how people say, my haters are my motivators. For me, my haters are not my motivators. My supporters are my motivators. So for me, I would have said, I would have thanked my supporters and for this journey. But I understand where she's coming from because we don't know those nights of crying, however, as an entrepreneur, I get it. So, I mean, congratulations to her. Again, this is something that we're always trying to scrutinize, like she said it. And she said what she felt. She thanked her. And I'm pretty sure she means that she thanks her supporters as well. And
she definitely did that. But do you your response to this question, should we thank ourselves publicly? Do you say yes or no?
I don't know. That's for me, I'm gonna say probably no.
No, okay.
I'm gonna, I'm just gonna be more. I'm not to say she's not humble, but for me, it would be like I want to thank my supporters for this journey.
Well, she like I said in her acceptance speech when she got her Emmy, she thanked God first. That was the first thing came out of her mouth.
Okay.
Then she thanked other people that was related to the project and all of those who voted for her and all of that and stuff like that. And then she came down. That's when she said, "And you know who else I want to thank? I want to thank me."
Well, okay, now she did thank her supporters. I'm thinking she didn't thank anybody.
Oh no.
I can see that, because at the end of the day, it was me that had to get up and push my, like you really do have to encourage yourself. So I don't see anything wrong with publicly thanking myself. Like you thanking yourself, you're believing in yourself. You're just really saying how proud of you that you are proud of yourself. So I don't see anything wrong with that.
We see a lot.
Yes or no.
And well, you know what, Trinette, we see a lot of this on social media. I see a lot of when people get awards or any type of accolades and acknowledgement, they post it, right? When people have birthdays, they say happy birthday to me. Right?
Ask for the cash out, like I'm supposed to say. I'm on the fence with that. I'm just cut differently. I just wait. I ask for the cash. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm just saying.
Right. No, I feel you. I definitely feel you because I'm gonna be honest with you. I get a little. It feels a little cringy for me too. Like I know. Like on social media, right? Like, Facebook will let you know that somebody's birthday is coming up. So people, I feel a little weird about like, hey, happy birthday to me.
Now I have put up a post like, hey, I'm blessed to see another year, XYZ. But then when I don't put the cash up, like you could bless me with, like that type of deal. I feel I'm like, oh wow, people really do this now. Like you can cash at me. Like, how I want to give you a birthday gift? I don't know you like that. Like, so I don't know. I think maybe I don't know if there's a thin line between the confidence and the arrogance, but I didn't see arrogance with her speech. Now you do have some people that are like, it ain't nothing but me, this and another. So I think, if you give off that air of arrogance, then I would have a problem with it. But I do get what she's saying. Like, hey, I've been on this journey. And if you didn't understand why I was acting the way I'm acting or whatnot, this is why. So yeah, I can see.
I hear you. Hey, look, Damon Blissett, my pastor and brother, you say, I have absolutely no problem with this. There it is. That's what the pastors say. You don't like my music. You say, if someone thanks themselves publicly, they are seeking affirmation. Give it to them.
Okay.
That's what we do. That gives you some sense of support. That's what builds community, especially on social media platforms. I understand that. Thank you. You don't like my music. Janae, you say for so long we are told to remain humble. If you win one, you get to speak up on your behalf after you've been exalted. Woo!
Yeah. And that's what I was alluding to. Like we've been, again, going back to being taught to keep these happy thoughts and happy feelings, and we can't express it. Why not? Why can't we celebrate ourselves? We do a lot. So let's celebrate.
Well, you know what? I think that what Nisi did versus what we're culturally used to. Like when Nisi did and said that, I had to push myself. I had to kind of break through all of those internal challenges to get to this place, which I think is fine. Yeah. But I think that this idea that you are quote unquote self-made, I did it all by myself, that is problematic to me.
Right.
Because
right,
I feel like that negates those who have sacrificed for you to be there. Somebody invested in you. Somebody took time to invest in you, whether it's financially, they let you hold their car, let you borrow some money, give you the time and space. You know, like somebody sacrificed something to get you into that space. So I hate being saying, I hate the term self-made. No, ain't nobody made, you ain't make yourself. Somebody was there, whether it's your mama, your daddy, your grandma, right? Somebody gave that ass a chance.
Right.
Somebody said you got some talent and skill.
Right.
And we gonna carry the water, but you better make it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you gonna carry the water for all of us. Ain't nobody self-made in this world, man. Come on. Exactly. Should we thank ourselves publicly? Yes. Yeah. As long for me, I feel like as long as you give thanks to the Most High, to the Creator.
That's it. Because I listen. If it wasn't for Him,
if you know what I'm saying, like that's what it is. Now, if you want to get up in there, and be like, I'll thank me for me. I'm the great one.
I'll be sitting on the side away from you.
The rise and fall very quickly. Trinette Collier Green, I appreciate you. How can folks check you out as you are the inspirationalist, as you are a relationship coach? How can folks find you on social media and other spaces?
Thank you so much. All social media, I am TrinetteLCollier.com.
There it is right there. Folks, Trinette, I appreciate you for your insight, for your energy. God willing, we'll see you back on next Thursday. But thank you for being so good for the culture. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you for being a part of the conversation. The crew, y'all have been phenomenal. The chat comments, everything that y'all bring to the conversations has been phenomenal. I hope you enjoyed the conversations today. If you did, do your due diligence. Please support us today at Black Star Network. Just go to our website today, download the app for free. Follow us on social media at the Black Star Network and drop something in the bucket. Yesterday, we made the announcement, but I'm going to make the announcement. Big shout out to Azaria, D-Man, T-Man, and Erica for being new contributors, new stakeholders in Black Star Network. We thank you so much for your donation. And again, folks, we are looking for your donations because we are powering through this space. We are opening up the conversation about us, our culture, our content. But your support means the world to us. So we thank you in advance for your support of Black Star Network. All right, stay tuned. Up next is Roland Martin Unfiltered, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You got Dr. Carr, you got Reese, you got a whole lot that's coming at you at 6 p.m. So make sure y'all tune in. But as always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will be back for the last day of the week. Friday is going to be here, God willing. And we'll be back right here on The Culture, right here, only here, exclusively here on the Black Star Network. Have a safe afternoon, great evening. Talk to you soon. Peace.